Okay, so I guess we're in my office, the car today. Shalom and welcome to day 8 of considering the countdown to Passover and the plagues of Egypt and the life of Messiah and place in prophecy. Today is locust, and that was considered to be a judgment against Sipariah or Serapia, who apparently was a deity against locusts or protection against locusts, which is very interesting considering that they would have a whole deity just dedicated to protection against locusts. So locusts were obviously in the same way that bulls and cattle were highly revered in the Egyptian culture. It appears that locusts were very much undesirable and a destruction. We know that the locust ate everything that was left after the hail. They devoured everything. And so they are a representation of utter and complete destruction. The idea that I had when I was writing it down was they came to kill, to steal, and to destroy. They came to kill the plants, to steal the food, and to destroy any hope that there would be a harvest. And so, as that was coming to my mind, obviously that reminds me of Messiah. Messiah said the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and destroy, but he came that we might have life and life more abundantly. So I see a connection with those things in the locust. Very practically, in the New Testament, we're told that John ate locusts. Some people like to fiddle about that, but I think by biblical definition, locust is actually clean, kind of like crickets are clean. I mean, it's not like it's as good as the bread that they ate, the bread that could have been made from the grain that they ate, but it was a food source. It kind of reminds me of the movie Hidalgo, if you've ever watched that. It's a fun horse movie, and it's set in the Middle East, and it's supposed to be a true story about an endurance rider from the United States that goes to the Middle East to test his horse, and they have to ride across the desert. And one of the things that he's warned of is of the locust. And the woman in the movie tells him what some call a plague is actually a blessing. And she explains that when the locusts come and he's in the desert riding, that this is something that the animals can eat and he can eat as well. So it provides food. But again, not as good as the bread that could have been made from the grain that they would have ate. And certainly there's a reason that John probably ate them with honey to keep it all down. So I also think when you think about the bread that could have been made from the grain that the locust ate, I think of Messiah and his ability to multiply the bread and the fish, as we've talked about before, to feed thousands. There's no famine when Messiah is around. He doesn't need the excess of the literal item. He can make it. He thanked the Father and was able to multiply that bread to meet the need of all of the people that were there. So there was no worry about provision or famine when Messiah was around. And so that's really what locusts would cause famine, right? And so when we look at prophecy, we know that famine is a huge part of the destruction of mankind and the world that we're currently on. We know that famine is very common across the world right now, and has always been really. Different areas just are unable to bring forth abundantly because of the sin of mankind and what we've done. And so we know that that will be a part. It's one of the riders of the apocalypse, the four riders of the apocalypse, as they call them. And we know also that when I think of locust, I almost immediately think of the creatures that are released from the pit that can sting. They look like locusts, but they're not. They have all different characteristics about them. which are very interesting. So, when I think about all of these things, I think about the fact that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the Father, and that we are so grateful for Messiah, who is the bread of heaven in this season. And we are so grateful that we have promises of a future that do not include famine and want. We know that our Messiah has gone to prepare a place for us, and that we're looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth that will not be marred by all of these sorrows. Shalom.